Okay, this is probably overkill, but I just want to show kind of my processes, and they're always in process of improving. But right now, I have the tasks of trying to upload all of these new LinkedIn stuff and the new resume that's generated. I have this folder that's on my OneDrive, so it's backed up locally and then on the crowd in the cloud. And I've got all of these files that I've been documenting all my each company's history. And so right now I'm at the place where I want to do two things. I want to iterate through what Copilot is telling me, so that I have a history of things. And I've been opening all these documents as I'm trying to go back over time, looking through what's relevant. And these are I never did that. So right now I am just trying ultimately I'm trying to get two documents that have my resume and my LinkedIn. And I'm keeping them in two formats. Because ultimately this is where I need to go with this format. But I'm also then trying to duplicate everything here. So I started, sorry for involving, I should have, okay. So this is the one that I titled the best one that I've ever seen. It's because he was extensive and just kind of summarized every single uh, every single achievement. Really good job of just three bullet points and summarize. I'm not going to go through that here right now. I'm just trying to document my process and trying to what do I do with this information? Because ultimately, I need to improve this process. I'm trying to do this whole thing of having a separate platform where to do this work. So I'm just starting with where we are right now. I call this LinkedIn's Copilot Best I've Ever Seen. So there's a second one where this is what's hard is trying to figure out how to, because I could go to a database, but it's really difficult to see all the data in a database. That's why I love this open format as opposed to even Word is still closed, because this I could just open up and see. I could just go, as opposed to Word. It's limited to the page size, unless I think there is a view that could change that. But I'm trying to compare and contrast, because two things here ultimately. One is that I'm trying to document as a business owner what I use to do all this work, so that I can actually spend the time and think about how can you improve this, but starting with a baseline. So this is the one that, see, this is where it's really confusing. So this is resume. Okay, this is embarrassing now. I've got all these open. That's why I'm just trying to document. Okay. So that's the title that I used for that Word document over there. So I need to keep the document the same. And then this is, come up here. This is the prompt. That's not the prompt. I, I should have said the because it's expanded. That's the other benefit of not having a fixed title name is that you can just change the name. I don't have to save as and spend all that time playing that game. I really like this free format of just writing Lincoln Copilot's best person I've ever seen. Because each each company has full categories. Okay, now I'm going to save that. See, this is just coming back to this whole concept of the Word doc. It's so cumbersome because if you want to change the name, you do have to do a save as opposed to just here, he just title it. And here we have the date and time that all this was done. Trick is that we have this PST file that has to get backed up, right? And this is something that changed, I think. Okay, well, that was, yeah, that changed because I changed my focus. Okay, so now I'm stuck with this question. How do I iterate? I could just put a separate page and title each page, or I could create a new database in Notion. See, this is why I'm documenting this. I'm just trying to, there's got to be a better way to do work that doesn't take all this time. Right. So here's the other thing that I got to be really careful of. Once I start burying this as on second pages, then how do you tell which is the one you want to deal with? Ultimately, I don't know if that matters because what just matters is getting it out. But in these kinds of situations where you need to go back and revisit things once you update LinkedIn, That's you change your source, so you got to have some kind of a baseline to come back to, right? And that's just where the whole coffee. It's 10 o'clock. Okay. Ultimately, they should have the file method is better for, you know what? Well, no, I'm trying to demonstrate my knowledge. Because Copilot is becoming too quick of an easy request, and I'm recording this so that you get to know me. Filing naming is important because it allows you to search for what you need. And then the iteration, you can actually just go back and view it. But this concept of having everything in the calendar, focus real quick. This concept of a database and stuff like that gets lost. File names get lost. What gets important is all of the right, all of the individual names. Focus on priorities. Right, marked, right, and I can actually just go in and open that. So much better than the database. Because the problem with the database is that you're just limited to the view, one thing at a time. Yeah, you can change your format and change your tables. But this journaling, I can have multiple things open. I can compare them and contrast them. The database can't do that. Even Word docs can't. Well, you could open them up, but you got to find it. I really like this concept of just working off of a calendar, creating a journal, and then working from that journal. And again, I'm going off on a tangent, but I'm just trying to share with you the journey that I'm on, trying to change the way we work. I know it's a bold statement. Ultimately, I have two iterations right here. And now what I'm wrestling with is if they should be in the same Word doc. So I just go back to one doc that has all the iterations. And then when that file gets corrupted or lost, then everything is down See, this is what I'm weighing through the pros and cons of way we work today. I still have the task of going through these iterations. So this is have to let's just go with where we are. That's the full one. Now that I've titled it Why It's Good, now I can weigh it out against all the others that I had gone through. That's my resume. So, and again, this is really helpful again for the time. Whereas if you want the timestamp, you got to insert it manually into a single doc. Right? This whole calendar process really benefit. Just move them around. You can do the same with Word, but Word it takes all this as you get it just right. Just love the freedom of having just the text, and then you just work on it. Okay, so I still have the task of figuring this out. So let's go ahead and add the challenge. Give me a sec. Let's pause this for a moment. Okay. Just also then documenting, because I'm all over the place on this, there's two things that I'm trying to do in this video, ultimately. One is to introduce the working problem that I have, just trying to, right now, all these things are all of these are calendar. I can just go back and have access to them. If they're all in a database, you have to open separate views or separate docs. Having everything in a calendar entry so you could just go back and hover over everything, try to find the thing that you're looking for. Ultimately, you wouldn't have this many. I know I'm just in the middle of this huge thing, but that's why I'm documenting this, because I just want to help people think through how we do work. So many. I didn't explain why. Because this is actually then, see, there's a lot, this is where it becomes a challenge, is trying to figure out how do you go back and read all this text. In a perfect world, you have a good summary at the top. That's where Copilot helps, right? I can just copy and paste, have it summarized, but it doesn't necessarily explain what this journey has been. So this is a summary, a two down. Ah, see, this is now going to be the challenge is that I have all of these iterations. Ultimately, I just have to choose which one is best and declare it. So that's what I go back to. And I'm going to keep it. Just I have a record of this process. Every time you create a new calendar entry, it flags you. Try to change that, but I can't. Right now, I'm trying to just make sure that the iterations, because ultimately, this is the file should be what the file content is. So this should be changed to Y, just like I did this over here. See, it should change now. Okay, now I can close that one because that's done. That file of that information is done and named well. Now I can go back and try to look at the next. Because the other thing was that there's a summary of all the LinkedIn. What I'm wrestling through right now is how do I go through and is this relevant to have? Because ultimately, my thought was I would just duplicate this format, the calendar entry, and then I could just move everything off of the old to the new. So I have some record of what was in LinkedIn. And again, nobody's going to care, right? But again, I'm just sharing this to involve you, is to try to introduce myself. I overthink things. But that's why I never fail because I always have a backup because I do make mistakes. So this is what's interesting is I don't even know how to duplicate. You have to actually go out to the calendar entry right? I'm just wrestling with all of the things to do in my life right now. And is this where I should be spending my day? Yes, because this is the only time that I'm going to spend time getting this right. So if I don't get it right, I can't move on because I don't want this to come back and spend more time. Even though I have the ability to do that here with all these iterations. Okay, I'm just resting now. There's a few things this is why I should write them down. It's it's the whole concept of the hurricane note, or I use the word focus when I need to focus. Okay, we have go get the best co-pilot, co-pilots iterations of resume and LinkedIn saved on Word docs. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do there is get the full version with sorry, I'm having trouble just getting it out, thinking, and I'm worrying about typing in the can. So give me a sec. Right now, we spent months, not months, weeks with Copilot. I did that. So Copilot could optimize my career. Oh, after spending so much time Oh, so much time. Capitalize or capitalize by getting the best results, which means iterations from verbose and comprehensive to sleek and focused on exact. This is why it's so much. This is why, again, journaling is so important. If you don't think and you don't capture it, you can't work. And it just, even just now, I was just like overwhelmed until you just sit down and type it out. But you got to have a system to journal, and that's what I keep coming back to. Life starts from the journal. The journal is where you sit and deal with life, and you think, and then you put it into an action plan. You got to be able to then move that action plan. And so everything should flow from the journal instead of the other way around, where you're going out to create a database. You have to figure out what it is that you want and create a record. Whereas this is just life dealing with a mini project. I'm not going to go back and do this again. So you have to have a way to capture all that. I really am getting excited about this concept of smart text because this is the journal. And if I, in a perfect world, if I were to just say, right click on something that I want to, then right now I want the results. Right click on that and say smart mini project. And then bam, AI kicks in, looks at everything that you're doing, and then recommends like all these different options to get it done. I realized that this is how I came up with this because this is what I do. I'm trying to figure out how to. I got all this. Oh, again, I don't want to go off on that right now. I'm just trying to figure out how to. But this is helpful. And again, it's probably confusing because it's not focused on one thing. So there's really two things that are coming out of this project. Two things. Right? Two things. This video are LinkedIn and resume. Archive based on Copilot access. And now I have this exactly when this was created. So the journal just over and over and over becomes the basis, the foundation. If I were to go out, a to-do statement, then I create a to-do. So what? So what? If you create a calendar entry, so what? You've got to sit down and document what it is that you're doing, and then this becomes a timestamp of everything. And then if I were to right-click and say start a smart mini project, then it would start tracking my time, all the things that I would go through and actually do all this would actually be in a calendar. I mean, a possibly billable event, right? I mean, can you imagine having finding all these extra hours because life just happens and you don't record it, right? So this also becomes part of the whole smart tech AI, right? Come on, people. Where is this calendar? When I go to click on it, it, it doesn't come back. And again, I'm wasting how many minutes just trying to get back to the freaking calendar. Outlook at the title. Okay, I had to go up to the top. Right. So the whole, uh, right. Because what I'm now thinking is, how do I capture this insight? Because I've got it recording. How do I then document it and then actually go back and use it? Talk about, right? So now it's going to be another challenge because ultimately there's all of these things that I'm trying to do with the features within Smart Tech. And this would have been something like the mini projects. Take off that one. Yeah, based on the title, what did I call that? See, this is where it becomes too cumbersome. I thought I had the title of the name. This is probably where I would just stop, go find that. But I'm also trying to finish the document, what it is I set out to do. Show me. Right. Okay, so I have to now then figure out how to finish the reason for the video, which is to document everything that I was doing. Just lost where all of the examples were for the name. Ultimately, I was just trying to come back. So I'm going to let that go just because I don't want to waste time. Your time's more valuable than mine. I will go back in and figure out how to close this out. 42. I thought, okay. Thanks for your time.